Hi folks, how you doing? Now what a game we had today at the Zurich tournament. What an epic battle. I mean, I'm speechless. There are there are not enough words to describe this game. Just amazing, exciting, crazy, epic. I don't know. This was absolutely amazing. Probably one of the best games I've ever seen in my life, and one of the most tense and exciting, and really I'm speechless. I mean, Nakamura was crushing Carlsen with white pieces. He had almost it done with a brutal attack on the king side, and suddenly he didn't play the right moves, and it was black winning in a quite long end game. Black Magnus Carlsen was finally able to win. Now, what the heck is this? I mean, how this boy survives all these attacks? It's incredible how these guys play, and moreover, Magnus Carlsen, he seems an alien. How can you survive that kind of attack, play that accurate, almost a perfect game, to end up winning a position which was +8, +9? That was absolutely crushing by white. I'm speechless. This is probably one of the best games I've ever seen. Candidate for the Game of the Year award, whenever it is. I mean, incredible. Let's go ahead with the game. Nakamura had white, Carlsen is black. Just to remind you about the history of this game, Nakamura has never beaten Carlsen in a classic game, so he has a kind of a psychological problem with that. He's absolutely, he's very competitive, so he clearly wanted to win this game, and he absolutely deserved to do this. He was a little bit unlucky today. D4, knight f6, c4, e6 was played, knight c3, we got the Nimzo-Indian, and there we go. Nakamura plays, he can absolutely play every theoretical line, but this time he goes for the f3, same-ish Nimzo-Indian. Remember that 9th game from the World Championship match, Anand-Carlsen, where, he thinks Magnus shouldn't have good memories from that. Even though he won that game, he had to cope with an incredible attack on the king side, and interesting enough, this game will be kind of similar. White would be attacking in the king side brutally. I mean, he's going to have a very, very strong attack against black king. So d5 is played here, and against a3, this time Carlsen goes back, bishop e8, absolutely theoretical. If I'm not mistaken, that game from the World Championship match in Chennai went on with this. Now c5, c takes, and now e3, I think. And Anand had a very good position out of the opening and in the middle game. Finally, he blew up with that fatal blunder. But anyway, bishop e7 was played here by Carlsen, and now this allows white to play e4. He takes, f takes, but now black has this counter attack on the center with e5. Absolutely necessary, otherwise white pawns are absolutely crushing, too strong. e5. And now d5, and the bishop moves for the third time, bishop c5. No classical rules of development are valid here, but this move makes all the sense in the world, because now white has weaknesses on the dark square, so this bishop right now is much better situated on c5 than on e7, so what the heck, go ahead and move it. No worries about having to move it 3 times in the opening. Bishop g5 is played here, certainly. I mean, you see that black has some threats here on the dark squares. And just to show you how sharp this can go, a possible line is knight f3, now allowing knight g4, and playing b4, and bishop f2 check, king e2, and this is theoretical, yes sir. And well, if you are interested in this crazy line, this opening, I recommend you to look for a video lecture by Vasily Ivanchuk, the great Chucky, which is available for free on YouTube. It's a video lecture in the Gibraltar Masters, and he absolutely analyzes all these kind of lines. A couple of games he played 20 years ago with this f3 Nimzo-Indians with both colors, and he shows absolutely amazing lines. Really in very interesting video, almost an hour. You shouldn't miss it. But bishop g5 certainly makes lots of sense, now avoiding the movement of this knight. It's pinned right now. And black castles. It seems it's more popular to play h6, bishop h4, and well, black has a couple of alternatives here, probably maybe playing a5 to avoid b4, or playing bishop d4, but well, Carlsen, he's not shy to get away with from the most common theory. He castles, now knight f3, attacking the pawn, bishop g4, just pinning, h3, and bishop takes, queen takes. Funny enough, in the Nimzo-Indian, black usually gives up the bishop pair by giving up the dark squared bishop on c3, knight c3, bishop b4, and then he takes. Well, this time he gives up the bishop pair by giving up his light squared bishop. It's interesting. And now he defends the pawn with knight d7, knight d7, and well, makes lots of sense here to castle long and launch an attack on the king side. I mean, you have the pawn on h3. You're gonna play g4, h4, and this is an opposite side castle. So exciting game ahead. Bishop d4. Now this bishop is looking really great there, fortifying the center. The drawback of this bishop is that can't defend backwards. I mean, he can't defend his own king side. But anyway, you can't have it all. Knight e2, naturally looking. White would like to even either exchange this knight for this bishop or recycle this knight to the king side via g3 to go, for instance, to f5, h5 to join into this attack, which it seems is going to happen on the king side. Here c5, well, more or less seeming logical. You're reinforcing here the bishop. Interesting choice here. Nakamura played g4. If he takes en passant on c6, now he takes c6, and well, black has some open lines here on the queen side and could have some counterplay, initiative, whatever you may call it, with the bishop on d4, which is nice looking piece. The rook or the queen could enter through this queen side dark squares and the open b file, so this would more or less guarantee black some counterplay to hold on. In fact, the engine suggests that white should take this d4 bishop for once, and you can even take the pawn. Now you're a pawn up, but black definitely gets compensation. Now queen b6, rook d2, rook f e8, attacking the pawn. Bishop takes, now bishop takes, and now bishop d3. And well, though white is up a pawn, black is very active and has certainly compensation for the pawn. This should be still playable, still interesting game, but while black puts his other rook on b8 or whatever, he has lots of activity to compensate the pawn. Another possibility, instead of g4, well, if white could certainly take on d4, it could be one of his ideas. Probably black would take with the e-pawn, although this is not that easy to judge for me. Now bishop d3, rook e8, and well, potential endgames could be very sharp and tense because both players have a protected passed pawn in the center. So far it seems there is not that much going on, but this is a potentially violent and sharp game because a couple of passed pawn there, and otherwise both players have some attacks in mind against the opponent's kings, both in the king side and the queen side. So I think this was an interesting alternative to g4. But g4, of course, making lots of sense. You want to launch an attack there, so there it goes. Here a5 was played by Magnus. Well, I mean, grabbing space on the queen side, he has to look for counterplay there. Not sure if that's the move I would play, but of course I'm not even half good as Carlsen, so I can't judge his moves. It's just, I mean, maybe there were more natural looking moves for us the mortals, for us the human beings. Queen b6, for instance, attacking on b2. Of course, it seems white has to take this dangerous looking bishop on d4, takes, and now king b1, prophylactic, and well, bishop on f1, for instance, isn't a good piece, and well, this will still be sharp. I mean, white still could have his attack on the king side with h4, h5, etc., and black must desperately look for counterplay on the queen side, either by moving his knight or trying to open up his pawns. But it's a shame that it is a and b pawns I haven't moved yet, because it could give black lots of open lines for the rooks to come in. But anyway, I guess this is still playable position. Another alternative, I mean, this may be not that correct, but you have to look at it. What about b5, trying to be more violent, more aggressive, more direct, just try to open up this faster. Now c takes, seems natural, rook b8. And well, black has some lines, some open lines, some pieces which could go in and try to generate counterplay. Now knight takes, this is a move that, well, if you're trying to defend or avoid counterplay from your opponent, exchanging his most active, his best piece, almost always a good idea. So c takes. And although white is up a pawn and the engine thinks this white is doing quite good here, he has the advantage, he suggests caution to the white side and he plays rook b1. So, I mean, from a human point of view, it's a pawn down, but black has lots of possibilities to compensate it with some attack. So this was another possibility with some similar ideas to which we will see in the game. But anyway, a5, another interesting move which was played. King b1, prophylactic. Now rook a6. The rook is clearly going to be filed to attack, to create counterplay against white king. Knight g3. The knight is not taking on d4, letting that bishop on d4, and well, Nakamura thinks that his knight is going to be more useful attacking than being exchanged with that bishop on g4. Probably he's right. And here a risky move by Magnus-Carlsen. I mean, I would never do this move, but once again, who am I to judge it? G6. This seems quite risky. I mean, it gets away these couple of light squares from white knight. You can't jump to f5 or h5 anymore, but black is certainly giving a target to white to attack with h4, h5 right away. So, I mean, it is said that when you're being attacked on your king side or on your king flank, you shouldn't move your pawns in front of your king because that's a target, automatic target. But there it goes. He plays the g6 alternative as well. The competency suggests queen c7. Now the knight, of course, will go to one of these nice places. Knight f5, rook b6, attacking d2. Rook h2 is the move that white is always going to use to defend. And here a4, h4, and well, white is still much... I mean, it is much more fun to play with white, obviously, but maybe with some rook b3, some concrete lines must be calculated, but probably black is a little bit better than in the game. So g6 will in the future will, as we will see, will lead to some problems to black. Probably Magnus is regretting having played this. But anyway, so h4 comes an automatic move. You're gonna attack that weakness, that provocative move on g6. a4, getting even more space on the king side. That pawn could be very important in the future. Rook h2. I mean, I love this move. This is very, very good move in my humble point of view. Very interesting one. It's prophylactic. It's defending b2 already against some attacks, and it's giving the possibilities to double rooks, putting this rook on d1 on h1 one day. So this is a cool move. I like this. Not rushing and just preparing his pieces to launch the attack in any moment. Queen a5. The queen will try to join the party. Now black must desperately look for counterplay on the queen side. Bishop d2 and queen c7. This is a nice intermediate move. I mean, you could go, black of course could go to c7 if that's what he wants first, but he would rather have this bishop on d2, which is kind of misplaced. It would rather be on, I mean, h6, g5, or even better on c1, protecting b1, b2. So he makes white kind of waste this move to misplace his bishop. Good decision by Magnus. And here Nakamura already commits with g5. Well, h5 was probably the other main option, and it seems that it's another very good move. Rook b6. This is the main part of the black counterplay. Bishop h6. You're now defending with the rook. You're attacking the rook on f8 at the same time. Now rook d8, h takes, f takes, and g5. This is suggested by the engine. And well, on my point of view, white would probably like the king side to be more open. I mean, pawns on the king side are more or less stuck. But it seems that actually white is doing very well, so this must be lots of advantage for white. The line would continue with typical rook b3 and rook d3 would follow. And if rook takes, bishop takes, black really doesn't have that much counterplay anymore. I mean, b2 is guarded by the rook. And it seems that at least the engine thinks so. White has a permanent and a stable advantage thanks to his activity, the lack of space for black, to the vulnerability of the king. So this seems pretty good for white. G5 was the move which was played by Hikaru. Knight d8. The knight will certainly is willing to go to d6, where it would be a perfect blockader, as Nimzo would say, attacking a couple of pawns, having lots of squares under control. This knight is willing to go to d6, definitely. H5. This is played almost automatically. Rook b6. First the attack, now bishop c1. Now we see the time that white has to waste to protect this b2 pawn with both the rook and the bishop. Rook b3 attacking the queen, and queen g4. And well, this is the moment where by the face expressions in the live stream, you could see both players obviously what was going on. White was absolutely in a good position here. Nakamura was very, very confident, and obviously Carlsen wasn't happy at all. He was kind of upset with himself. Now, even though he's in a bad position, difficult position, Carlsen still plays like a machine. It's incredible how great this guy is. He still keeps playing the best moves one after another. He just almost doesn't fail to play absolutely the best move. The point is now this knight on d7 doesn't have that many places to go, so what to do? Just improve that piece. Knight b6, he's desperately trying to bring the piece into the queen side to try to help in this desperado attack. Bishop e2, coordinating even more. The bishop would have something to say in this diagonal, and it's preparing to put the other rook on h1. Knight d6, once again improving pieces. That's the only chance you have to survive. There are no other so much logical moves. And now rook dh1, another important moment. It seems that Nakamura rushed a little bit with this move. Engine suggests that taking on g6 with the pawn first, f takes g6, now putting the rook on h1. And it seems that this position is almost winning, because there's absolutely no way for black to defend against all the threats you have. The h file is open. Both rooks are attacking h7. The queen could join through h4 or h3 the attack on the h file. It could go to attack via e6 with a check. The bishop could possibly go through these light squares as well. The knight could sometimes be sacrificed. So it seems that this was much stronger with this in this particular move order. But Nakamura, it seems, rushed a little bit and didn't make the best moves. In this position, for instance, say rook f7, and white would have lots of interesting continuations here. Queen e6, pinning the rook, and if queen f8, king f8, I'm pinning. Now knight f5, absolutely amazing knight sacrifice. If g takes, g6, and this is done. If not rook f7, what else? Bishop takes b2, but now queen e6 check, king h8, rook takes h7, queen takes, rook takes, queen takes. White takes the knight on d6, and he's up lots of material. So if bishop c3 check, king c2, and material unbalance is too much to hold for black. So it seems that h takes g6 was much more accurate, but hey, the position seems so promising that rook d to h1 can hardly be called a blunder. So it still has to be a winning position. In fact, objectively speaking, it was. Here, black has an only desperate chance to create some counterattack, some desperado attack against white king with some sacrifices. Bishop takes b2. Now bishop takes. The point is that if h takes g6, now bishop takes c1, discovered check, king takes c1, and the knight takes on c4, and g takes f7 check, rook takes, say bishop takes, knight takes, and I'm not sure. Both kings are more or less bearing the middle of the board, but I'm really concerned about this white king. It seems a little bit more unprotected than the black, even though white has these doubled rooks. I'm not sure this. I mean, not sure which side is more scary to play with. This is a little bit crazy. So bishop takes, taking on b2 after the sacrifice was much more accurate, and now knight takes c4, knight from b2 taking c4. This is all the point of black's counterattack. Otherwise he is absolutely toasted, no way to survive it. Bishop takes, knight takes, and now he's attacking the bishop on b2 with two pieces. It's guarded as well, but while black has sacrificed basically a piece for a couple of pawns to create some counterattack and try to hold basically. H takes g6 and well, queen b6, once again an only move, and well, once again by the body language you could see Carlsen was almost ready here to resign. Even though he's playing the best move he has, this is still completely crushed, objectively speaking. But as we will see, this is not the game for. The game is played by humans, and you still can throw the victories by the window. So this will sadly happen to Nakamura. Chess is very cruel. I mean, it's very sad to lose this kind of position. Here Nakamura thought for a while, and he played g7. Seems still very strong move, but once again it seems it was more precise to take on f7 with check. And now if rook takes f7, knight h5, the knight gates in with lots of deadly attacks. The best move is to play queen g6. Otherwise, of course, for instance, if rook takes b2, now king a1, no more checks, and it's white turn to shut the gun. And black, I'm not sure what is black is going to do to survive the attack. Now knight f6 is in the air, and lots of attacks, lots of checks. So queen g6 is the best move, kind of. But queen c8 check, rook f8, and simply queen e6 check, exchanging queens. And well, white still has some attack going on, some serious attack, and he has a bishop for a pawn. So this seems to be completely winning for white. g7 certainly is another strong move, probably not the best, but well, still has its own tricks, its own ideas. Still a very strong move, still should be winning. Rook d8 was played here. I mean, the rook is under attack. The point of, probably the main point we should see about g7 is after king takes g7, knight a5 f5 check is leading to checkmate. King g8, now knight e7 check, king g7 or king h8. That doesn't make that much difference because rook takes h7 is checkmate. So this was the basic point after g7. It can't be taken. But rook d8, now queen h4, threatening to go into h7 and checkmate. So first Carlsen checks here on b2, couple of rooks are exchanged on h2, and now queen g6, the only way to stop checkmate basically. The other move which was possible to play and not be checkmated on the spot in a couple of moves was h6, but it still fails in a, I must say, very beautiful way. This is leading after g takes h6 to some very beautiful variations. Of course, these chess titans, these chess giants will see it. I must be helped by the engine to see these beautiful checkmating lines. Now you're threatening to push h7, so king h7, and now knight h5. Rook d6 to try to protect this 6th rank. Queen g5, you're threatening to go in to promote a queen and checkmate, so rook g6, and now queen f5, pinning. Queen d8, try to protect the back rank. Now knight f6 check, and there it goes, some beautiful sacrifice. Queen takes f6. Now g8 queen, promoting and checking. King must take. Now h7 check, and this is beautiful. I mean, this is very beautiful to my point of view. King f8, and now queen c8 check. King e7, queen c7 check, king f8. Now check from h8, another promotion. Queen h8 check. The correct move, well, more correct move is to play rook g8, and well, queen takes f6. I mean, saying this is correct is absolutely very bizarre. White has a couple of queens against a knight, but the other move, if black takes on h8, is leading to checkmate. Queen d8 check, king g8, queen takes h8 checkmate. This is beautiful. I mean, these lines are absolutely amazing to me. So this was a possibility. Of course, these GMs of this caliber will know this is already over, so would have all calculated in a couple of seconds. So, but this was beautiful to my point of view. I had to show it. H6 was not working obviously here, and was leading to this very beautiful checkmating and promotion sacrificing a couple of queens here to checkmate black in a beautiful way. Anyway, queen g6 was the only move to prevent checkmate right now, but knight f5, and with an obvious threat of checking on e7, rook e8, and now queen g4. The idea is to trap the queen with rook h6. So queen b6 is played here. Obviously, you cannot play the rook here anymore because black has his own checkmate on the road. And here, well, queen h3 was played, once again threatening the same thing on h7, queen g6, and maybe in some time trouble and maybe rushing, I don't know, not exactly sure why. Here Nakamura plays the fatal blunder. He gives away all the advantage. I missed almost all the advantage he had. He probably miscalculated something. He played d6, and well, which is not working basically for this reason. Knight takes, and the point is now rook d8. The point is that white king is much very, very weak, so you cannot afford, for instance, to take on b7, because this is leading, I mean, white is toasted. Rook d1 check, king a2, queen takes e4, and how is white going to avoid the checkmate on b1 is a mystery to me. There is no way, I mean, to avoid checkmate, I think. So this was a blunder. This was a very tough blunder, very hard blunder from Nakamura, d6. Instead, queen f1 was the move which kept the advantage and all the chances to win. Now, what are you going to play with white? Say, the computer suggests this line, knight takes a3, king a2, b5, and king takes a3. So, if this is the best black has, it means that black is in heavy problem. A couple of moves I was thinking about, for instance, knight t2, attacking the knight, the queen, and the pawn. But queen b5, and I'm attacking the rook, and if you move it, well, check, and bye-bye the queen. Another move I was thinking about, for instance, after queen f1, I was thinking about also about b5, but now this was leading to a very beautiful combination. Rook takes h7, and well, if king takes h7, this is quick checkmate on h8. And if queen takes, knight h6 check, queen takes h6, g takes h6, and black hasn't enough to resist. Knight d6, queen f6, knight takes e4, and now h7 check, king takes, queen takes, and this is done. So it seems that this queen f1 was the move to play to win this game, but sadly for Nakamura he blundered with d6, and now knight takes rook d8. And here, well, once again, Nakamura had a much better move here. He played knight c4, which is basically giving up all the advantage, and in fact taking into account the psychological effects of these fatal blunders on white, on Hikaru. This is giving the victory to black, in my opinion. So Magnus was absolutely astonished. He couldn't believe his eyes. He was almost dead and buried, and he was now reviving. So instead of knight c4, it was much better to play knight c8, it seems. Well, not that easy maybe to see, but the point is that after rook d1, king a2, if, for instance, now queen takes f4 is not can't be played because knight e7 check, king takes g7, queen h6 check, king h8, and this is checkmate once again. So instead, what else? I mean, after the check, if queen e6 check, exchanging queens, rook h6 materially is favoring white, so this should be more or less winning for white easily at those levels. So after knight c8, it seems that white is still has lots of advantage, but Sadly for Nakamura, he played this knight c4, which allows queen takes e4. And well, this is supposed to be equal, but after blundering once, it's pretty normal to lose control, and everything went down from now on for Nakamura. Very sad, very tough, very cruel game for Hikaru. He played queen h5, and it seems that now technically this is one for black. This is another blunder. The move to resist, it seems it was to play knight d3. After queen d3, knight f5, and if queen d1, check, king a2, rook d2 check, takes, king b1, and well, queen takes there. White has a piece for 4 pawns, and well, it is supposed to be equal, but I think it's still very complicated for white. I mean, black is clearly playing for only 2 results, but queen h5 seems to be much worse. Now Carlsen doesn't fail to convert this advantage. This is really incredible. He was absolutely crushed, absolutely toasted, and now he goes ahead once again, revives and goes ahead to win the game. This guy is incredible. Rook d3, and now black is suddenly defending everything and has his own very serious threats. Rook h4 was played here just to illustrate how badly white's position is suddenly. Say queen h6, like a silly move, is leading to checkmate with rook d3 here. So white's position is really miserable here. Rook h4 was played, correct. At least queen f5 to go down and check and put into lots of trouble white king. Queen e2, I mean defending, attacking, trying to hold it, but now b5. Black has too many pawns against the knight, which are going to play a major role here. Knight d2 and queen takes g5. Oops, sorry, I went too fast there. Queen takes g5. Magnus decides to simplify and to technically win the endgame. Well, rook takes a3 check. King b2. I guess this was still possible. But anyway, Magnus doesn't want to risk anything. Queen takes g5. Now queen takes rook, and knight against 4 pawns. It is clear that black is not going to lose this, never going to lose this. So he's playing for 2 results, and basically this must be technically one for black. So let us go a little bit faster in the end game, because it is pretty much easy to understand what's going on here. White just has to try to look for tricks and perpetual checks, whatever, and black will start slowly and carefully pushing his pawns. So knight e4, king takes g7, queen f3. I mean, whenever black can exchange queens, his task is much more easier. I mean, this is already done. The knight can't do anything against the pawns. So white must avoid queen exchange. Queen f3 is played. Queen f4, queen g2 check, king f8. Now king b2. But h5, black has just too many pawns. This is lost for white. Knight d2, h4, king c2, b4, a takes, c takes, queen a8 check, king g7. Nakamura at least grabs a pawn on a4, h3, queen b3, h2, and now queen d5 to protect the h1 square. But black has other pawns, e4, queen h5, e3, knight f3, e2, king b3, f6, probably to stop white from some desperado tricks here with the knight. Knight e1, now queen g3 checks, king a4, and the last trick, really, but a beautiful one. I would probably fall into this. Now if queen takes e1, taking the rook, being greedy, it seems that white has a perpetual. Now lots of checks, and this might end in the draw. I just didn't find the way to hide from draws, from checks. If anyone got the analysis there, well, I'll be happy to see it. Lots of checks here, and I just now the engine keeps saying this is absolutely winning for black, but I just can't see how he's going to hide from checks. There are tons of checks, and the black queen is absolutely too far away to defend his own king. But Magnus is not a guy to be tricked with these kings. With these things, he plays queen g1, much more correct, with all other threats, just to push the pawn. Queen takes e2, and after queen a7 check, Hikaru had enough. Almost 7 hours of battle. He resigned the game. A really astonishing games. Once again, as I said, this is, I mean, I'm speechless. There are no enough words in my vast English vocabulary. Just kidding, of course, to describe this game. I mean, this is incredible, amazing, crazy, tough, and chess is cruel. Once again, Nakamura seems he has like a nemesis in Carlsen. He's just not able to beat him in classical games, although he had an absolutely winning position today. But hey, this is chess.